Captain Jake Morrison stood in the massive hall of the Galactic Council. The ceiling stretched high above him, covered in lights that looked like stars. Around him sat beings from dozens of different worlds. Some had blue skin, others looked like giant insects, and a few seemed to be made of pure energy. Jake felt sweat on his forehead. He had been to many dangerous places in his 20 years as a soldier, but this place made him more nervous than any battlefield. Today would change everything for humanity. Ambassador Linda Carter walked to the center of the room. She was a small woman with gray hair, but Jake had seen her face down alien generals twice her size without blinking. She carried a simple folder in her hands. Inside that folder was humanity's future. The Zephyrian Chancellor Veltar spoke first. His voice sounded like wind through metal pipes. The Council has made its decision about humanity's request for full membership. Jake remembered the first time humans had met aliens. It was 50 years ago when Captain Mary Johnson found a damaged alien ship near Jupiter. The beings inside called themselves Zephyrians. They were tall and thin with silver skin that seemed to glow. They told humans about the Galactic Federation, a group of hundreds of alien species that worked together to keep peace in the galaxy. Humans were excited. They thought they would finally have friends among the stars. The aliens seemed friendly too. They shared some of their technology and invited Earth to join their federation. But there was a catch. Humans would be junior members until they proved themselves worthy of full membership. That was 12 years ago. Since then, humans had fought in 3 major wars for the Federation. They had saved entire worlds from destruction. Human scientists had created new medicines that cured diseases affecting dozens of alien species. Human engineers had built better ships and weapons than anyone thought possible, but the Council kept saying humans needed more time to prove themselves. Chancellor Veltar continued reading from a crystal tablet. Humanity has shown promise in military and scientific fields. However, the Council believes they still lack the wisdom and experience needed for full membership status. Jake clenched his fists. He thought about his brother Danny, who had died fighting the machine army called the Void Collective. Danny had saved a Zephyrian colony ship with 2,000 families on board. The Zephyrians had given him a medal, but they still voted to keep humans as junior members. The Council grants humanity another provisional period of 10 years, Veltar said. During this time, they may continue to serve in support roles within the Federation military and scientific programs. Support roles. Jake almost laughed. Humans led half the Federation's most successful military operations. Dr. Lisa Johnson had invented the shield technology that protected every Federation world. But they were still told they could only play support roles. Then came the real blow. The ethereal conclave's representative, a being of pure light called Zarthal, spoke in a voice like singing crystals. The Council has also decided to redistribute the human colonies in the Orion sector. These worlds will be managed by more experienced species to ensure proper development. Jake felt his heart stop. The Orion colonies were home to 3 million humans. Families had lived there for 20 years. Children had been born there who had never seen Earth. Now the Council was just giving those worlds away like they were worthless. Ambassador Carter had been silent through all of this. Now she stepped forward. Jake could see her hands shaking slightly, but her voice was steady and clear. The Council has made its position very clear, she said. Humanity appreciates the opportunity to respond. The alien delegates seemed bored. They probably expected Carter to thank them for their generosity or maybe ask for more time. Jake had seen this pattern before. The Council would make a decision, humans would complain, and then humans would accept it because they had no choice. But today was different. Carter opened her folder and pulled out a single sheet of paper. The United Earth government has carefully considered the Council's offer. We respectfully decline. The room went silent. Even the energy beings seemed to dim with surprise. Furthermore, Carter continued, the United Earth government formally withdraws from the Galactic Federation, effective immediately. Chaos erupted. Alien delegates began shouting in dozens of languages. Some stood up from their seats, others huddled together in worried groups. Jake had never seen anything like it. Chancellor Veltar's voice cut through the noise. Ambassador Carter, surely you cannot be serious. Humanity cannot survive without the Federation's protection and support. Carter smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. We survived for thousands of years before we met you. We will survive long after we leave. The Hegemony Prime Minister, a creature that looked like a walking tree, spoke in a voice like creaking wood. This is foolish. Young species always make emotional decisions. You will return within a year, begging for readmission. We will not. Carter said simply. Humanity has given everything to this Federation. We have bled for you, died for you, and shared our greatest discoveries with you. In return, you have treated us like children who cannot be trusted with important decisions. She walked closer to the center of the room. We will not beg for respect we have already earned. We will not ask for rights that should have been ours years ago. We will take our people, our ships, and our knowledge, and we will make our own way among the stars. Jake felt something he had not felt in years. Pride, pure, burning pride in his species and what they were capable of. Chancellor Veltar tried one more time. The Zephyrians have always been friends to humanity. Please reconsider this decision. Carter's expression softened slightly. The Zephyrians have been good friends, and we will always remember that. But friendship means treating each other as equals. The Federation has made it clear that humans will never be equals here. She turned to address the entire council. We leave not in anger, but in dignity. We wish you well in your future endeavors. Perhaps someday we will meet again under better circumstances. With that, she turned and walked toward the exit. Jake and the other human delegates followed her. Behind them, the council chamber erupted in arguments and shouting. As they walked through the station's corridors, Jake felt like a weight had been lifted from his shoulders. For the first time in 12 years, humanity was free to choose its own path. The council never expected humanity to walk away. They thought humans needed them too much to ever leave. Today, they learned how wrong they were. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge of the UES Phoenix, watching as the last human transport ship left. Federation Station Alpha. 3 months had passed since Ambassador Carter's announcement, and the galaxy was still trying to understand what had happened. Kate had been in charge of the evacuation from the beginning. It was the largest operation in human history. Over 2 million humans lived and worked throughout Federation space. They had jobs on alien worlds, families and mixed communities, and lives they had built over decades. Now they were all coming home. The evacuation was going better than anyone had expected. Kate had worried that many humans would refuse to leave. Some had alien friends they did not want to abandon. Others had businesses or research projects they had spent years building. But when the call came, almost everyone answered. Captain Peter Brooks walked up to Kate with a datapad in his hands. Admiral, we have reports from all sectors. 97% of human personnel have been successfully evacuated. The remaining 3% are in transit and will be picked up within the week. Kate nodded. She was proud of how smoothly everything had gone. The Federation had expected chaos. They thought humans would panic or fight among themselves about the decision to leave. Instead, humanity had shown the same discipline and organization that had made them valuable Federation members. What about the research stations? Kate asked. That's more complicated, Peter said. Dr. Lisa Johnson finished transferring all the medical research data to the Federation scientists on Titan Base, but she kept all the original human research and anything we developed independently. Kate smiled. The Federation had always treated human innovations as group property. They assumed that anything humans created while working with aliens belonged to everyone. But humans had been careful to document exactly what they had contributed to each project. The aliens were learning this lesson the hard way. On research stations across the galaxy, human scientists were packing up their work and leaving. The aliens discovered that humans had been responsible for more breakthroughs than anyone had realized. Dr. Johnson, Herself had led the team that created the medical scanners used in every Federation hospital. Human engineers had designed the power systems that kept most Federation stations running. Human programmers had written the software that managed trade routes between thousands of worlds. Now all of that knowledge was walking out the door. Kate's communication officer, Lieutenant Carlos Rivera, called out from his station. "Admiral, we're getting a message from the Zephyrian ship Harmony. Chancellor Veltar wants to speak with you." Kate had been expecting this call. The Zephyrians were humanity's closest allies in the Federation. They had voted against many of the Council's decisions that hurt human interests, but they had not been willing to leave the Federation to support humanity. "Put him through," Kate said. The image of Chancellor Veltar appeared on the main screen. His silver skin looked duller than usual, and his large eyes seemed tired. "Admiral Sullivan, I hope you will reconsider this course of action. The Federation needs humanity's skills and knowledge." Kate had known Veltar for 8 years. He was a good being who genuinely cared about doing the right thing. But he was also a politician who had to think about his own people first. "Chancellor, we appreciate your friendship," Kate said. "But the Federation has made its position clear. We are not equals there, and we never will be." "The Council is reconsidering," Veltar said. "There are discussions about giving humanity a more prominent role in Federation affairs." Kate almost laughed. "More prominent than what? We already do most of the fighting and research. What the Council refuses to give us is respect and an equal voice in decisions." The truth was that the Federation was already feeling the effects of humanity's departure. Without human tactical expertise, 2 Federation fleets had been defeated by raiders in the outer systems. The trade network that humans had helped design was starting to break down without their maintenance. "The other species are beginning to understand what humanity contributed," Veltar admitted. "Perhaps in time minds will change." "Perhaps," Kate said. "But we will not wait for perhaps. We will build our own future." After the call ended, Kate walked to the observation deck. Through the large windows, she could see the fleet of human ships heading toward the edge of Federation space. There were cargo vessels full of families, research ships carrying scientists and their equipment, and military vessels like her own providing protection. General Richard Hayes joined her at the window. He was in charge of withdrawing all human military units from Federation service. "The aliens are finally starting to panic," he said. 3 more Federation Council members have sent messages asking us to reconsider." Kate was not surprised. Human military units had been involved in every major Federation victory in the past 10 years. Human tactics and technology had saved dozens of worlds from invasion. Now those same worlds were defenseless. "Have you heard from Earth?" Kate asked Richard. Nodded. "President Turner addressed the colonies yesterday. He said the withdrawal is proceeding exactly as planned. The new settlements in the frontier sector are ready to receive evacuees." Kate felt a surge of pride. While the Federation had been focused on the evacuation, humanity had been busy preparing for independence. New colonies were being established in unclaimed space far from Federation territory. Shipyards were being built to produce purely human vessels. Research centers were being set up to continue the work that had been started on Federation stations. The Federation had assumed humanity would fail without their support. They believed humans were too young and inexperienced to survive on their own. But humans had been preparing for this possibility for years. "The aliens still think we'll come back," Richard said. "They think we'll realize we made a mistake and ask to rejoin." Kate shook her head. "They never understood us. They thought we joined the Federation because we needed them. The truth is we joined because we wanted to be part of something greater. But they never let us be true partners." She turned away from the window. "Signal the fleet. Set course for the frontier sector. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity can accomplish when we're free to choose our own path." As the human fleet jumped to hyperspace, Kate felt something she had not experienced in years: hope. For the first time since joining the Federation, humanity was truly free to determine its own destiny. The Council never expected humanity to walk away. Now they were learning what the galaxy looked like without human strength, innovation, and dedication. It was a lesson they would not soon forget. Engineer Carlos Rivera wiped sweat from his forehead as he looked at the massive construction project floating in space before him. 2 years had passed since humanity left the Federation, and New Geneva Station was almost complete. It was the largest structure humans had ever built, and it was being constructed entirely with human technology and human hands. Carlos had worked on Federation stations before. Those projects always took decades to finish because every decision had to be approved by committees representing dozens of different species. Each alien race wanted their own technology used, their own cultural requirements met, their own safety standards followed. The result was usually a confusing mess that barely worked. New Geneva was different. Human engineers had designed it from the ground up using the best human technology available. Instead of trying to combine incompatible alien systems, they had created something entirely new. The station would house 500,000 people and serve as the capital of independent human space. "How are we doing on the power core installation?" Carlos asked his assistant. Maria Santos. Maria checked her tablet. "Section 7 is complete. We should have full power online within the week. The artificial gravity systems are already working." "Perfectly," Carlos smiled. The artificial gravity had been one of their biggest innovations. Federation stations used gravity generators bought from the hegemony, massive machines that were expensive and broke down constantly. Human engineers had found a way to create artificial gravity using rotating sections and magnetic fields. It was simpler, cheaper, and more reliable than anything the aliens had built. Dr. Amanda Clark was working on the other side of the station, setting up the new Human Defense Initiative headquarters. She had spent the last 2 years developing military strategies that did not depend on Federation support or alien technology. Her work had already been tested in 3 encounters with raiders, and the results were impressive. "The key is mobility," Amanda explained to her staff during their morning briefing. "Federation fleets are huge and slow because they try to bring overwhelming firepower to every fight. Our ships are smaller and faster. We can be where the enemy does not expect us and gone before they can respond." Her second-in-command, Colonel Tom Phillips, nodded. "The patrol squadrons report that pirate activity in our sector has dropped by 80%. Word is spreading that human space is not an easy target." Amanda was proud of what they had accomplished. The Federation had predicted that humanity would be destroyed by raiders and hostile aliens within months of leaving their protection. Instead, human space had become one of the safest regions in the galaxy. The secret was not bigger guns or stronger shields. It was intelligence, speed, and the willingness to think differently about every problem. Human ships carried advanced sensors that could detect enemy vessels from great distances. They used hit-and-run tactics that confused enemies used to traditional battle formations. Most importantly, they coordinated their actions with a speed and precision that amazed everyone who witnessed it. Meanwhile, the Federation was struggling with problems they had never faced before. Captain Steve Martinez had been monitoring Federation communications from his deep space exploration vessel. The news was not good for humanity's former allies. The Void Collective attacked 3 more Federation worlds last week, Steve reported during his regular communication with Earth. The Federation response was completely disorganized. They sent 4 different fleets that did not coordinate with each other. 2 of the fleets actually got in each other's way during the battle. President William Turner listened to the report from his office in New York. He felt sorry for the Federation worlds that were suffering, but he was not surprised by their military failures. Human officers had been responsible for most of the Federation's successful military operations. Without human tactical expertise, the Federation military was proving to be far less effective than anyone had realized. "What about the economic situation?" Turner asked. "Trade networks are failing throughout the outer sectors," Steve replied. "The logistics systems that humans designed are breaking down without proper maintenance. Some worlds are experiencing severe shortages of basic supplies." Turner had expected this. Human engineers and programmers had been responsible for many of the computer systems that managed Federation trade. When the humans left, they had taken their knowledge with them. The aliens were discovering that they did not understand how their own systems worked, but the most interesting news came from Steve's exploration missions. During a routine survey of an uninhabited system, he had made a discovery that changed everything humans thought they knew about their own history. "I found ruins on the fourth planet," Steve explained. "Ancient structures that are definitely not alien. The architectural style, the proportions, even the mathematical relationships built into the design, it's all human." The implications were staggering. If humans had built cities on distant worlds thousands of years ago, it meant that Earth was not humanity's first home among the stars. Perhaps humans had once been a great spacefaring civilization that had somehow lost its technology and forgotten its past. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, Earth's leading archaeologist, was studying the data Steve had transmitted. "The carbon dating suggests these ruins are at least 10,000 years old," she told Turner. "But the technology level indicated by the construction is far beyond what we know ancient humans possessed." Turner felt a chill run down his spine. If humans had once traveled the stars and built cities on distant worlds, what had happened to that ancient civilization? Why had they disappeared? And why were modern humans only now rediscovering their lost heritage? The discovery added new urgency to humanity's expansion into space. They were not just leaving an oppressive federation behind. They were reclaiming their rightful place among the stars. Chancellor Veltar of the Zephyrians had been watching humanity's progress with growing concern. His own intelligence reports confirmed what everyone in the Federation was beginning to understand. Humanity was not just surviving without Federation support. They were thriving in ways that made many Federation worlds look backward by comparison. They have built more in 2 years than some species accomplish in centuries, Veltar told the Council during a closed session. Their technological development is accelerating without Federation oversight. Their military is small but incredibly effective. Their economic systems are more efficient than anything we have seen. The ethereal conclave representative, Zarthal, remained dismissive. They are still a young species. This early success will not last. Eventually, they will face challenges that require the wisdom and resources of the Federation. But privately, many council members were beginning to wonder if they had made a terrible mistake. The Federation was weaker without humanity, and humanity was proving that they had never needed the Federation as much as the Federation had needed them. Carlos Rivera stood on the observation deck of New Geneva Station and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, his ancient ancestors had built cities and traveled between worlds. Now, humanity was following in their footsteps, building a new civilization based on freedom, innovation, and the refusal to accept limitations imposed by others. The Council never expected humanity to walk away. They certainly never expected humanity to succeed so spectacularly on their own. But humans had always been good at exceeding expectations. Admiral Tony Washington stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty, watching the emergency beacon flash red on his screen. 5 years had passed since humanity left the Federation, and this was the first time they had received a distress call from their former allies. The message was from a Zephyrian transport ship called the Silver Wing. They were carrying refugees from the Zephyrian homeworld, which had been destroyed 3 days ago by the combined forces of the Void Collective and their new allies, the Entropy Syndicate. "Sir, we're detecting over 15,000 life signs on that ship," reported Lieutenant Commander Rachel Kim. "They're packed in there like cargo. Life support is failing." Tony had mixed feelings about the situation. The Zephyrians had been humanity's closest friends in the Federation, but they had still voted to keep humans as junior members. They had watched silently as the Council took away human colonies and dismissed human achievements. Now they were asking for help, but looking at the overcrowded refugee ship, Tony knew there was only one choice to make. Signal the Silver Wing, tell them we're bringing them aboard, and contact the medical bay. We're going to need all the help we can get. The rescue operation took 6 hours. Human crews worked alongside desperate Zephyrian families, carrying children and elderly refugees to safety. The Zephyrians were amazed by the efficiency and compassion of the human response. They had expected humans to either ignore their plea or demand something in return. Chancellor Valtar was among the refugees. He looked much older than when Tony had last seen him. His silver skin was dull, and his eyes held a sadness that seemed to go deep into his soul. "Admiral Washington," Valtar said when they met in the medical bay, "I do not know how to thank you for this kindness. After how the Federation treated humanity, we did not expect you to help us." Tony was checking on a young Zephyrian girl who had been injured during the evacuation of their home world. "We help because it's the right thing to do," he said simply. "That's what humans do." The destruction of the Zephyrian homeworld was just the beginning. Over the next 2 weeks, Admiral Washington received reports of attacks throughout Federation space. The Entropy Syndicate was not just another group of raiders. They were a collection of species that believed the galaxy should be destroyed and rebuilt from nothing, the void. Collective had been bad enough. They were machines that wanted to convert all organic life into digital information. But the Entropy Syndicate was worse. They wanted to destroy everything, including themselves. The Federation's response was a disaster. Their fleets were scattered and disorganized. Without human tactical expertise, they could not coordinate their defenses. Worlds that had been safe for centuries were falling within days of being attacked. General Patricia Morris was in her office on New Geneva Station when the encrypted message arrived. It was from Chancellor Valtar, and it was marked with the highest security codes. "General Morris," the message began, "I am contacting you without the knowledge or approval of the Federation Council. The situation is more desperate than we have publicly admitted. The Entropy Syndicate has weapons we do not understand. They are destroying entire star systems, not just planets. Our military analysts believe they will reach the Federation core worlds within 6 months." The message continued with technical details about the enemy's capabilities. But the most important part came at the end. "Our intelligence services have confirmed what many of us suspected. The defensive technologies that humanity developed are the only proven countermeasures against the Void Collective's adaptive systems. Without human help, the Federation will fall." Patricia took the message to President Turner immediately. The Global Council was called into emergency session, and the debate that followed was unlike anything in human history. "They rejected us," said Senator Mike Johnson. "They treated us like children who could not be trusted with important decisions. Why should we risk our people to save them?" "Because it's the right thing to do," replied Senator Lisa Brown. "We don't help people because they deserve it. We help them because we can." The debate continued for hours. Some representatives wanted revenge for the years of humiliation. Others argued that humanity had a moral obligation to help prevent genocide. Still others worried that helping the Federation might lead to humanity being forced back into their old subordinate role. President Turner listened to all the arguments before making his decision. "We will help," he said finally. "But we help as equals, not as junior partners. We will coordinate with the Federation military, but we will not be commanded by them. Our people will follow human officers using human tactics." The decision was controversial, but it was made. Humanity would return to the galactic stage, not as supplicants begging for acceptance, but as a sovereign power offering assistance to former allies. Commander Jason Lee led the first human mission back into Federation space. His job was to rescue Federation scientists trapped on a research station that was under siege by the Entropy Syndicate. The station contained critical data about the enemy's weapons, but the Federation had been unable to reach it. The mission was a complete success. Using human stealth technology and hit-and-run tactics, Jason's team infiltrated the station, rescued the scientists, and escaped with the data. The operation took 4 hours from start to finish. Federation military experts had estimated it would take at least 3 days. If it was possible at all, the rescued scientists were amazed by the human approach to the problem. They did not try to fight their way through the enemy fleet, Dr. Clickstow of the Hegemony reported. They found a way around it that we had not even considered. Word of the successful mission spread quickly through Federation space. For the first time in months, there was hope that the war might be won. But everyone understood that humanity's help came with conditions. Ambassador Linda Carter, now serving as Secretary of State, made those conditions clear in a message to the Federation Council. Humanity will assist in the defense of the galaxy, she said. But we will do so as an independent power, not as Federation members. We will coordinate with you, but we will not be commanded by you. We will share our knowledge and resources, but we will not be taken for granted. The message was received with mixed emotions. Some Federation leaders were grateful for any help they could get. Others were angry that humanity dared to make demands during a crisis. But privately, most of them knew that humanity held all the cards. The Zephyrian refugees on New Geneva Station watched the news broadcasts with growing hope. They had lost their homeworld, but they had found something else. They had found a people who would help them, not because they had to, but because they chose to. Chancellor Veltar stood in the observation lounge, looking out at the human fleet. That was preparing to return to the war zone. Perhaps, he said quietly, we should have listened to them years ago. The Council never expected humanity to walk away. They certainly never expected humanity to return as equals. But that was exactly what was happening, and the galaxy would never be the same. President William Turner stood in the Emergency Command Center on New Geneva Station, watching the holographic display that showed the battle raging around the Federation capital world. The Entropy Syndicate had launched their final Assault 6 hours ago, and the Federation's defenses were crumbling. Admiral Sullivan's fleet is in position, reported General Patricia Morris. The human task force is ready to move, Turner nodded. The decision had been made. After months of debate and careful planning, humanity was returning to the galactic stage. But this time, they were coming as equals, not as junior partners begging for acceptance. The human fleet was smaller than the massive Federation armadas, but it was faster and more advanced than anything the galaxy had seen before. 5 years of independent development had pushed human technology far beyond what they had achieved while working within Federation limitations. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty, the flagship of the human fleet. He had been a young officer when humanity left the Federation. Now, he was a seasoned commander about to lead his people into the most important battle in galactic history. All ships report ready, announced his communications officer, Lieutenant Sarah Miller. We're receiving the final Federation defense positions now. Jake looked at the tactical display. The Federation had thrown everything they had at the Entropy Syndicate, but their traditional strategies were failing. The enemy was using weapons that could destroy entire star systems, and Federation commanders had no experience fighting such overwhelming destructive power. Signal the fleet, Jake ordered. Execute Operation Homecoming. The human ships moved like a school of fish, coordinated and precise. Instead of charging directly at the enemy like the Federation fleets had done, they spread out and approached from multiple directions. Their smaller size and advanced stealth technology made them nearly invisible until they were ready to strike. Admiral Kate Sullivan commanded the operation from her flagship, the UZ Phoenix. She had been planning this moment for months, studying the enemy's tactics and developing countermeasures. The key was not to fight the Entropy Syndicate the way they expected to be fought. Remember, she broadcast to all human ships, we're not here to destroy the enemy fleet. We're here to save the Federation worlds and show the galaxy what humanity can accomplish. The first phase of the attack was a complete surprise. Human ships appeared throughout the battle zone, striking at the Entropy Syndicate's supply lines and command ships. The enemy had been focused on destroying Federation fleets and had not expected to face attack from behind. Commander Jason Lee led a squad of human fighters through the chaos of the battle. His mission was to disable the enemy's main weapon, a massive device that could destroy entire planets with a single shot. Federation analysts had said it was impossible to reach, but Jason had found a way. "Stay close," he told his wing. "We're going to thread the needle between their main battle line and the gravity well. If we time this right, we can use their own weapons against them." The human fighters dove through the space between two enemy fleets, using the confusion of the battle to mask their approach. They reached the superweapon just as it was charging up for another shot at the Federation capital. "Targeting the power core," Jason reported. "Firing now." The explosion that followed lit up the entire battle zone. The superweapon was destroyed and the blast damaged several other enemy ships. For the first time in the battle, the Entropy Syndicate found themselves on the defensive. The turning point came when Captain Morrison led his ship directly into the enemy command formation. The Federation admirals watched in amazement as the human captain used tactics they had never seen before. "He's using their own size against them," observed Admiral Zektar of the Zephyrian fleet. "The enemy ships are too big to maneuver quickly. He's staying close enough that they can't use their main weapons without hitting each other." The battle raged for 3 more hours, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. The human fleet had broken the enemy's coordination and given the Federation forces time to regroup. One by one, the Entropy Syndicate ships were destroyed or forced to retreat. When the battle was over, the silence in the command center was deafening. The Federation capital was safe, and the Entropy Syndicate's main fleet was destroyed. But everyone knew that the real victory was not just military. It was political. Chancellor Veltar was the first to speak when the Federation Council met in emergency session. "The galaxy owes humanity a debt that can never be repaid," he said. "They came to our aid when we were facing extinction, even after we had rejected them." The ethereal conclave representative Zarthal was notably silent. The old guard that had opposed human membership for so long had been discredited by the crisis. New voices were emerging in the council, voices that recognized humanity's true value. "We propose a new galactic charter," announced the hegemony's new prime minister. "One that recognizes all species as equals, regardless of how long they have been in space. Humanity has proven that age does not determine wisdom or capability." Ambassador Linda Carter returned to the council chambers for the first time in 6 years. But this time, she was not coming as a supplicant. She was coming as the representative of an independent human government that had proven itself capable of standing alone. "Humanity appreciates the Council's offer," she said. "But we have some conditions of our own." The new treaty that emerged from the negotiations was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Humanity would rejoin the galactic community, but as an equal partner, not as a junior member. They would maintain their independence and their right to make their own decisions. Most importantly, they would never again be dismissed or marginalized. The signing ceremony took place on New Geneva Station, with representatives from every major species in attendance. President Turner signed for humanity, but he made sure that Chancellor Veltar and the other Federation leaders understood the new reality. "We are not the same species that left the Federation 6 years ago," Turner said. "We have grown stronger, more capable, and more confident. We join this new galactic community as equals, and we will accept nothing less." The ceremony concluded with a moment that would be remembered throughout galactic history. Children from dozens of species played together in the station's main plaza, while their parents worked side by side on plans for the galaxy's future. Human children laughed with young Zephyrians. Hegemony youth shared games with human teenagers. Captain Morrison stood with Chancellor Veltar, watching the children play. "Do you think they'll do better than we did?" the Chancellor asked. Jake smiled. "They'll do better because they're growing up seeing each other as equals. They won't have to learn that lesson the hard way." The Council never expected humanity to walk away. They certainly never expected humanity to return as the galaxy's saviors. But perhaps most importantly, they never expected humanity to show them a better way to live among the stars. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly what humanity had intended all along.